People say Macbeth was trapped by fate. Too easy. If fate did the killing, Macbeth is just a passenger. And the play spends a lot of time proving he is not.
Exactly. Duncan's murder is not some automatic result of a prophecy. Macbeth hears a possibility. Then he thinks, wavers, imagines the cost, and finally decides to do it. Choice is built into the scene.
And that matters, because the lazy version turns Macbeth into a victim of spooky forces. The play does not let him off that easily.
No, the witches do not march him into Duncan's room. Lady Macbeth does not hold the dagger for him. Macbeth knows what he is about to do, and the play makes us watch him know it.
Start with the obvious point people blur out. The witches predict he will be king. They do not tell him to murder Duncan.
Right. One title comes true almost at once when he is named Thane of Cawdor. That matters, because Macbeth immediately sees that some prophecies can happen without his action. He even says that if chance wants him king, chance may crown him without his stir.
So, early on, he can imagine becoming king without blood.
Yes, and that destroys the excuse that fate leaves him no alternative. The play gives him an alternative in plain sight. Wait, do nothing. Let events unfold. He rejects that option.
Then comes the hesitation. And Shakespeare is not subtle about it. Macbeth does not rush toward murder like a man under a spell.
He stops and argues with himself. Before the murder, he lists reasons not to do it. This is not a puppet speaking. This is a man assessing the crime and its consequences.
And those reasons are practical as well as moral, which is important. He is not just vaguely uneasy.
Exactly. He knows Duncan is his king, his relative, and his guest. That means Macbeth is bound to protect him, not kill him. He also knows murder breeds retaliation. He says bloody acts return on the killer. He can see the chain reaction before he starts it.
That is the strategic point people miss. This is not one clean stab and a crown. Kill the king, and you blow up the rules that protect kings, hosts, and nobles. Macbeth knows he is opening a dangerous game.
And he knows Duncan does not deserve it. He calls him a meek and good ruler, a king whose virtues will plead against the murder. Macbeth is not killing a tyrant. He is killing a decent man who trusts him.
That detail matters because it strips away another bad excuse. Macbeth cannot pretend this is justice or necessity.
No, he admits he has no solid motive except vaulting ambition. That line matters because he names the engine himself, not fate, not duty.
So when he says, "We will proceed no further in this business," that is not theater. That is a real decision point.
Yes, for a moment, he chooses not to kill Duncan. That single moment wrecks the idea that the murder is inevitable. If he can decide against it, then he can decide for it. And if he decides for it, responsibility is his.
Then, Lady Macbeth pushes him hard. This is where people try another dodge and say she makes him do it.
She pressures him absolutely. She attacks his courage, mocks his manhood, and lays out a plan. But influence is not the same as force. Macbeth could still refuse. We know that because he already did refuse once.
And he is not some blank weakling waiting for instructions. He contributes to the plan. He asks questions. He agrees to the timing. He walks toward Duncan's chamber himself.
Exactly. Even the dagger vision does not erase choice. People treat that scene as proof he is being driven by supernatural power. But the dagger appears when he is already on the way to kill Duncan. It reflects a mind under strain. It does not make the decision for him.
So, the play keeps returning to the same point. Macbeth knows. Macbeth hesitates. Macbeth proceeds.
And after the murder, the play keeps the blame on him. He is horrified, but horror is not innocence. He says he could not say amen. He stares at his bloody hands. He understands the spiritual and political damage because he caused it.
Then, look at what follows. Once he has crossed that line, he keeps choosing again. Banquo, the guards, Macduff's family. Fate did not order every one of those murders.
That is the bigger pattern. Duncan's murder is the first chosen crime, not the last unavoidable one. Macbeth learns that murder can secure power for a moment, and then he keeps using it. The tragedy grows out of repeated decisions.
Which means fate is too easy, not just because it is inaccurate, but because it softens the central fact. Macbeth wants the crown enough to betray loyalty, hospitality, and basic decency.
Yes. The witches open a door. They do not push him through it. Macbeth sees the door, weighs the risk, knows the victim is a good king, and walks through anyway.
And once you read the play that way, the stakes sharpen. This is not a man crushed by destiny. This is a man making himself into a tyrant.
That is why responsibility stays with him. Prophecy sets the temptation. Choice commits the crime. Duncan's murder matters because Macbeth is not fated into it.